Hello, my name is Michelle Akin. I am a life coach, a musician, and a YouTube vlogger, and I am 29 years old right now. So my birthday is in January, and I'll be 30, and it's kind of funny. I was first asked to do this podcast back in, October of 2013, so almost a year ago now. And I thought, wow, I better get to this or else I'm not going to be in my 20s anymore and therefore irrelevant. 30 years old, totally irrelevant. So I figured I should get on it at this point and talk a little bit about what it's like to be in your 20s now that I'm on my way out. So how do I feel about where I'm at right now is the first question. How I feel about where I'm at is, well, I'm pretty excited. I'm mostly excited. I think I have a lot of insight into kind of what you go through in your 20s and how most of it involves you being or thinking that you should be somewhere else, somewhere that you aren't. And when I realized that my 30th birthday is coming, like I was sitting on the couch the other night with my husband and I thought, oh, I'm going to be 30 soon. I actually got really excited and I started to think about who do I want to be at 30 and, what can I accomplish in the next 6 months based on that vision I have for myself. So I'm using it as a call forward versus something that I think most people dread. I mean, that's probably going to be my biggest birthday celebration ever. And I usually just don't celebrate my birthday at all. So I'm really, really looking forward to turning 30. And I look back pretty much just gratefully on all of the past 10 years. And everything I've been through, and wow, yeah, there's a lot. So let's dive in. Let's see what next question is. The idea of being in your 20s has always been this false sense of security and adulthood that we get slapped hard in the face with and realize that we're almost back to square one. It's not what we thought. So this is what I was just talking about. How do you feel about that? Do you agree? I call it the second puberty in life. Yeah, it kind of is your second puberty, because I don't know. I think we just spend a really long time being sheltered from life and kind of being given this, here's make-believe life. It's called high school. And here are all the tropes and all the things that happen in regular life, and we're just going to throw it at you in this, structured way. And it's kind of risk-free in a lot of ways. You're living under your parents' roof if you're lucky, and you don't have to take ownership over every little thing. And then what happens when you kind of get pushed out of the nest is suddenly your life is yours to own. And I think we spend a lot of our 20s clinging to not wanting to own our lives fully and kind of wanting to blame our parents for not preparing us and blame the world for not preparing us adequately, and just sort of fighting the reality that you've really been the owner of your life this entire time. And it just kind of looked like you weren't, or that you were just sort of in a structure that made it look like you're not. But I think I've spent my 20s unconditioning myself from the idea that I don't have a choice about how my life goes. And it's hard. It's really hard, especially when you literally had people telling you what to do most of the time growing up and telling you who you should be and all of that. And then it's like, oh, you get to decide now. And that's kind of shocking to the system. But just like puberty is shocking to the system, I mean, it's just part of what happens in life and nothing really wrong with it. But I find a lot of people in their 20s just sort of think that life should be going differently than it is going. And I also find that with people in their 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s. So it's not so much about age. I think it's really just about how we operate and how we think things should be other than they are. That makes sense. Very aware of a loud beeping noise that's in the background of this. I think that's some construction outside of my house. So if you can hear that, sorry. And if you can't, well, you're missing out. Let's see. What are some of your creative outlets? What inspires you on a daily basis? I'll start with that. So some of my creative outlets are, well, I'm a singer. And I recently started playing piano and being able to, play and sing at the same time. I have a band called Igloos, and we just started doing shows after, a while of kind of keeping our songs to ourselves and having all kinds of reasons why we weren't doing shows. Now we're doing shows. So it's pretty exciting. And we've written a few songs together and going to keep doing that. So it's terrifying, actually, because I was a singer who mostly just did covers of other people's music. And I was honestly terrified of the idea of making my own. And so to be doing that now is still terrifying. I found out. And then I found out that after you write one song, you're really terrified that your next one won't be very good. And I'm looking to be someone who makes music as a career eventually. So I get that there are hundreds of songs to be written, but it doesn't make it less scary right now. And I don't think you ever really lose that fear if you're pushing yourself all the time. And so I'm just sort of leaning into it right now. I get very inspired by, lately, comic books. I've started reading comic books, and one of the guys in my band has a lot of comic books around, so I started stealing them. And I'm totally enamored with the medium, and I can't draw at all, like at all. So I've always been fascinated by art in general, but I really am super inspired by how you can kind of take 2D paper and make something that feels like you're watching a movie. That's amazing. And I just finished Y: The Last Man, which is an amazing comic book. And if you're not into comic books but you'd like to try something out, I highly recommend Y: The Last Man. And it's funny, and it's deep, and it's poignant, and super interesting. So it's my little advertisement for that. Let's see, what else inspires me? Just people who have a lot to say. You know, I'm a life coach, and I talk to people, and one of the things I like to ask people is, what's the impact that you're here to have on the world? And the response is usually, oh my gosh, I don't know. But then when you get people talking for a little while, you find out that they actually have something really specific that they want to do, and they didn't even realize. You know, whether it's something you see about the world that you think is wrong, or you see something that's missing, and the impact you want to have is to really change the way that goes. We all have something like that, and I think it's kind of scary to say so, because then you might actually have to do something about it. Haha. But yeah, I get really inspired by people's unique dreams, because everyone I talk to has a very, very specific thing that they believe they're here for, and you got to do some prying most of the time to really find out what that is. But wow, like, people are awesome, actually. And so I get really inspired by my clients, by my potential clients, by people who reach out to me online. And it just reminds me that I'm not in this alone, you know. Let's see. Why do you think so many people at this age are afraid of putting themselves out there, especially with creatives? Well, I don't think it's just people our age is the thing. Because I've got clients in their 60s, and I've had clients that are 18, and we have the exact same fears, and we get stopped in the exact same places. I do think that we need to be more mindful about what we consume all around. So not just the food you put in your body and how you're fueling yourself, because being a creative person and putting things out there actually necessitates that you take care of yourself, but also that we just consume other people's opinions like it's our job. And it's really not good. I really think we're sort of poisoning our creativity well when we do that. I even find myself just scrolling through my Facebook feed and reading people's opinions on current events, and then I just shut the window. So I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just sort of, you know, ingesting other people's words for no purpose. I don't think there's anything wrong with sharing your opinion and having discussion and having debate and things like that, but on my lunch break, I could actually just use some silence and not, looking at how many likes I got and how many views and all of this stuff. I think we have so many metrics to measure something outside of ourselves, and what we really need to focus on is just, what do we think of ourselves? And what do the people that actually matter to us think? And that's it. It's really all that matters. So it might be a bit of a radical saying, don't read your YouTube comments, don't read your tweets, and don't read your Facebook feed, but don't read your YouTube comments, don't read your tweets, and don't read your Facebook feed. Like, you actually don't need to consume all of that, all of the opinions of other people, and be impacted by them if you don't want to. So it's really important, I think, for creative people to protect their delicate psyche and also to have support. It's hugely important who you surround yourself with and who you listen to and who you allow to matter in your life is paramount when you're creative, because it doesn't take much of anything to knock you off your game. So you have to exercise the muscle of just putting things out there and not listening to what people say unless they are people who matter to you and you've requested it. Because really, feedback doesn't get through when it's not requested is the thing. You know, people could say, well, I like reading my YouTube comments, it makes me better. Well, good for you, and good luck with that. And I'm a bit more sensitive, and I choose to actually just protect that part of me that's so precious, the part of me that has the idea, the part of me that gets excited and just needs to go, produce a video and spend 14 hours working on it because I can't not. That's a really precious part of you. And it's a part that can get, the soul of that can get shattered so easily by what other people think if you allow it to. And so I think a lot of us just need to stop letting it. And part of that is don't look at it at all. Just don't. And Brené Brown talks about this a lot. She's an amazing author and speaker. And she talks a lot about allowing only the feedback from people who are also throwing their hat in the arena. And I love her for saying that to people. I think it's so important that the feedback that you allow into your mind is from people who actually know what they're talking about. And you might find it in a random person on the internet, but you really might not. And you might get impacted negatively by it. So I think I think all humans are afraid of putting themselves out there, and we just need more support and more boundaries. And that's it. And it's easier said than done, but it is that easy. It's that simple, rather. So, let's see. What are any advice or experiences you'd like to share with us that you feel are significant? The one thing I'll share is I've heard from a 13-year-old that they really feel like they should have finished their book already. And I've heard from a 60-year-old that they really feel that they should have finished their book already. And it's a worthless conversation to be in. I really think I should have done this already. Okay, but what are you going to do? I think a lot of us spend a lot of time talking about what we should have done, what went wrong, what isn't right. And that's actually the conversation in the way of moving forward. That's the conversation in the way of things going any differently. And as long as you're mad at yourself and the world and other people and whomever for your current circumstances, you're not really going to create anything on top of that. We can't create on top of being upset. We can't create on top of thinking things are wrong and trying to fix them. Because one of the truths about the world is that nothing is broken. So we're all kind of going around trying to fix something that's not broken in the first place. And if you could actually just say that everything that's happened up until now has been perfect, and here's what I want to create. It's not about quitting. It's not about complacency. It's about coming to peace with what's happened already in service of creating what's next, in service of saying, yeah, it's been like this. That's cool. Here's what I really want, though. They both need to exist at the same time. And I think we forget that. I think we think that we need to hate the way it's gone in order for it to go any differently, and it's just not true. So take that for what it's worth. I know it's a hard one to swallow, but if I just planted a seed in your brain that buds in 20 years, then I've done my job. So remember I said it, and you don't have to agree with me, but I promise you, everything that's happened so far has been perfect, and all you need to do is decide what's next and then go after it. And if you need a coach or anyone to support you, which if you're up to big things in the world, you probably need some support, give me a call or, phone a friend. Get an accountability buddy, if you will, and just go for it, because no one is going to pick you and say, yes, you're the next one, go be great. You just have to pick yourself, which is something I totally am plagiarizing from Seth Godin. So thanks, Seth, for that. Pick yourself. And your 20s are a beautiful time. I'm about to be done with mine, and I'm pretty psyched for what's next. So thanks so much for listening, and I hope you got some value out of this. And if you're in your 20s, enjoy that beautiful roller coaster ride. Bye.